Hey everyone, Shabby here and welcome to our next episode of SWE Mayhem. We've still got more debuts for you from PJ Toby. Can you believe it? And of course this is the last stop before we get to our next Mayhem pay-per-view, Cruel Intentions, coming up for you next Saturday. And we are going to open tonight's show with a tag team match which will determine the #1 contenders for the Mayhem Championships. Now, Sumerian have not been doing too well recently, but they are a genuine top tag team, and PJ Toby's given them the chance here against the club. And here we go then. Now this is just the first of two #1 contendership matches here this evening. We do have another one in your main event, which will include a debuting wrestler here, which will be the Television Championship #1 contendership. We also have another debut lined up for you a bit later on this evening as well, but we'll talk about those as we get to them. But first we have the club versus the Sumerian Death Squad. Two tag teams that I must admit I'm disappointed in. Now that might seem a bit harsh, but they both haven't really set the world on fire in this universe mode, and the two tag teams I really expected to dominate, and to have them both on the same brand, I really assumed that PJ Toby's tag team division would be incredible. However, the Hardy Boys, or the Broken Hearts, whatever you want to call them, they have just dominated this division for the entirety of Season 2. Remember, I did announce on Dead Man's Boots a couple of days ago that Cruel Intentions will be the last pay-per-view for a brand before we get to, well, not the last pay-per-view, it's the last but one. Every brand now after Cruel Intentions will be leading towards a full week of pay-per-views to finale Season 2 of the SW Universe mode. And of course that will be an episode of Shabby Mania for every brand. And of course winning the Tag Team Championships at Cruel Intentions for either of these two teams will guarantee them a place at the Cruel Intentions pay-per-view. But yeah, I don't know, it's just, if the Broken Hardys can hold those belts the whole way through Season 2, that would be outstanding for them. Don't get me wrong, but I just feel like that one of these two teams need to step up now. And it's not just these two teams on this brand as well. You look at Dynasty, have been pretty strong. You've got the American Wolves, who did have a dark match here this evening and defeated Lost Matadors. Thank God. Lost Matadors, the most OP team on this brand. But yeah, there's been a lot of real strong people around, and I just feel like these two teams are the ones that should be on top. And this tag team match is a bit of a dream match for me, really, to see these two teams go at it. But I just wish it was under better circumstances. And who knows, at Shabby Mania, this could end up being a tag team championship match. Running Meteora there by Tommy End or Aleister Black, if you will, straight taking down Carl Anderson. Now, it's good to see Gallows and Anderson on the game, and I'm pretty sure they'll be on 2K18 as well, but the questionable one for me is Aleister Black. Now, he did debut at the WrestleMania weekend takeover, which generally means that he would have made the cutoff, but I dare say Aleister Black might end up being a DLC name, I think, and I'm a little bit annoyed with that. I'd rather see him be on the main game, but I'll rather take DLC than nothing, if that makes any sense. And Carl Anderson taking Aleister Black up into a running sit-out powerbomb. That was big, that is. Anderson now dragging Aleister Black back into the middle of the ring. A big boot right in the gut. But then again, Aleister Black's not one I'm too worried about having on the game, because if you look at the quality of this core, you can see he's not a difficult one for people to make. But people like Bobby Roode, the majority of the cores are questionable. They're not amazing. And you look at people like Eric Young again. We've got a pretty good Eric Young now over on Carnage, but apart from that, it's not the easiest one to make. But I'll say that Aleister Black should be easy to make. If you look at the tattoos he's got and so forth, then it should be quite a difficult one. But it's the people that are quite difficult to make and the ones that don't look fantastic that I would like to see on 2K. I'd like to see everyone on 2K18, to be honest. 2K have said there's going to be close to 200 people on the roster, which is about 60 more than what we've got now. So I feel like we're going to have a pretty in-depth NXT roster. Hopefully. We'll see. Only time will tell. We might find out quite a bit actually this weekend, because it is normally SummerSlam weekend that they start to give out some of the details. Nice jawbreaker there by Michael Dante. You know, takes Carl Anderson into a powerbomb. And a big boot right in the gut of Carl Anderson. And Dante taking some control in this match. So also planned this evening, we are going to have Goldust. I think it might be the first time Goldust has got some TV time. It's going to be Goldust versus Booker T. With Dusty Rhodes, of course, at Goldust Corner. And we're also going to see later in the evening Dusty Rhodes in singles competition. I think, again, might be... No, I think he had TV on and... Oh, maybe only in the first... I remember seeing Dusty Rhodes quite a long time, actually. He's going to be on TV against one of our debuting superstars. We've got a singles match between Andrew Everett, of course, accompanied by Trevor Lee, taking on Jeff Hardy. Be a really good match, that one. Of course, taking on one half of the tag team champions. Could work their way into the championship picture as well. And then, of course, our main event is going to be a triple threat match to determine the #1 contender for the television championship. The winner, shall I say, will go on to face off against Seth Rollins at Cruel Intentions this Saturday for the television championship. And we know that one of those men is going to be Sting. The other man is going to be Lex Luger, believe it or not, because he's been in incredible form for quite some time. And the final man is going to be our debuting wrestler here on Mayhem. There's the pin after the Magic Killer by Luke Gallows. Carl Anderson. Oh, Carl Anderson. There's just the AI on this game is freaking terrible, isn't it? He just stood there and did bugger all. It perplexes me, and I hope they have fixed this on 2K18. And they have said that there is a... oh, nice move there by Tommy End. There is improvements in the tag team division and tag team matches. I'm hoping that is one of the improvements, but just that does my head in. Just that is just awful. It really is awful. Dante now taking Gallows up into that choke slam. Dropping a knee right in the spine of Gallows. Gallows is back up, running straight towards Dante, but Dante catches him with that right hand in the gut, and now onto the shoulders, into that backbreaker. And sending Gallows straight towards the ropes, and Michael Dante pulling the rope down. Gallows back in the ring now, and you think the Sumerian Death Squad got lucky with that Magic Killer and Carl Anderson's complete lack of intelligence there to stop the, or to protect the pin, shall I say. Stiff right hand there by Gallows, and went for it again, but End catching Gallows. Nice big slam there by I keep switching between Tommy End and Aleister Black. It's something that I struggle with it all the time, because I've known Tommy End for years and years and years as Tommy End, and then for him to switch to Aleister Black, I just get confused. I get confused. End now up on the top, looking at that big elbow drop. There you go. I've gone back to End. I've gone back to End again. The pin 1, 2. I need a 2 count. Dante, and I'll tell you what, Sumerian Death Squad have taken control of this match since that earlier Magic Killer. There's the white noise, but it's so close to the corner of the club. Shoulder block there by Gallows. Gallows now bringing Dante back up to his feet, and Gallows catching Dante by the throat into a big choke slam. Of course, fake Kane there, rocking the Kane choke slam. Looks like we might see another Magic Killer. Are we going to see some better AI this time from Luke Gallows? There's the Magic Killer, pinned by Anderson. And we do see better AI, but Michael Dante kicks out. Bit of a shocker. As both Anderson and Dante now just attack, both Anderson and Gallows attacking Dante. My mouth just stopped working there for a second. Anderson now heading up to the top. Willing Michael Dante back up to his feet. Nice diving neck breaker from the top, and Michael Dante has been busted open, which is going to make things a little bit more difficult for him. There's the pin by Carl Anderson. His feet are up on the ropes, and Tommy End, or Aleister Black, whichever you want to call him these days, does come in and break it up. Michael Dante, shoulder block, takedown on Carl Anderson. Stamping on the upper leg now as well. And in comes Aleister Black. Got it right that time. Hey, got it right. Aleister Black now sending Carl Anderson into the turnbuckle. Oh, he's up high. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. And there's a super backdrop to prove my point. Aleister Black now wrenching the reverse dragon sleeper hold. Is it going to be enough to make Carl Anderson tap out? Gallows doesn't seem too worried. He's not coming in to break it up, so he didn't seem too worried. Aleister Black catching Anderson into the ring, taking him up. Into a brainbuster. Now Aleister Black stalking Carl Anderson into an ace crusher as well. There's the pin. 1, 2. Oh, and it's a kick out by Carl Anderson. Wow. It's actually turned out to be a very good tag team match, this one. Some pretty good action. Diving knee strike from the middle rope. Aleister Black went for the kick in the back, and that rhymed. Carl Anderson comes back in with that Saito suplex. There's the pin. 1, 2. Again, it's only enough for a 2. Anderson now bringing Gallows back into the ring. And I said this was a dream match, and it has ended up to actually be a very high quality match. Gallows just dropping Aleister Black face first on that top turnbuckle. Now into a snapmare as well. Struggling with just anything there, Gallows. Just grappling thin air. It's always fun. Straight into the quick snap suplex. Pin now by Gallows. 1, 2. Only a 2 count. Gallows stamping right in the back of the head of Tommy End. Dropping an elbow right into the heart of Tommy End as well. And a second one. And a trio of elbows right in the heart of Tommy End. And I just choking him, slamming him back of the head first into the mat. Gallows bringing Aleister Black back up to his feet, but Black playing possum. Aleister Black taking Tommy End up on... taking Tommy End? He is Tommy End. Taking Luke Gallows up onto his shoulder, and Gallows managed to fall free. Now Gallows with Aleister Black on his shoulders. Flapjack. Oh, Aleister Black's face caught that top rope. That's woven steel, that is. It's not comfortable at all. Gallows sending End into the corner, and are we going to see another Magic Killer? Surely the Sumerian Death Squad can't survive a third Magic Killer. There it is. The pin by Carl Anderson. Gallows comes across, blocks off Michael Dante, and the club are going on to face off against the Broken Hardys at Cruel Intentions for the Mayhem Tag Team Championships. It was a very entertaining match, this one, actually. A top tag team match. It took 3 Magic Killers to finish off Sumerian Death Squad, but there was a lot of back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It was quite an impressive one. I enjoyed it. I did enjoy this match. I enjoyed it fully. There's a lot of highlights to this, but this might even make it, you know. Might even make it into our best-of series. I quite enjoyed this match. As far as tag team matches go, probably one of the best ones we've had so far. If it wasn't for the poor AI, and look at that, look, Dante's not even... I hate the way that they're sort of like hollow when they're doing that sort of taunt on the rope, like Michael Dante was there. He was hollow. And although Gallows went straight through him with that spear, didn't actually touch him. It was terrible, wasn't it? But there we go. The club will go on to face off against the Broken Hardys this Saturday at Cruel Intentions for the Mayhem Tag Team Championships. And here's our next match of the evening. It is going to be Goldust versus Booker T, one-on-one. And of course, Dusty Rhodes will be at ringside. And here we go then. I don't think we've seen Goldust too much on Mayhem so far. Of course, he was transferred over here from... he was transferred over here from Octane, wasn't it? Who did we get in his place? I can't remember now. It wasn't somebody big, was it? I remember that. But still, it's a pretty good trade, I think, for both. I think Goldust suits PJ Toby's brand a little bit more, and I think the team of Goldust and Dusty Rhodes as well is going to be quite an interesting one. It probably will get used a little bit more, and I think it's just a good way to get both of these guys something to do, and I think having them as a tag team... Don't get me wrong, I don't think they're going to be a fantastic tag team, but you never know. Goldust and Dusty Rhodes could be a decent team, and I think we probably will. What we're going to try and do is we're going to try and keep as many of the stables that we've created together for 2K18's draft as possible. So if both Dusty and Goldust are going to be on 2K18, which I'm assuming they probably will, then they will get drafted as a tag team rather than two single stars. And it's the same with things like American Alpha. We've got Kurt Angle, you've got Chad Gable and Jason Jordan, and you've got Jack Swagger, of course, together as the American Alpha stable. They'll go as a group. AJ Styles has left the club now because, of course, he's gone to Adrenaline, so it will be Finn Balor and Gallows and Anderson that will be drafted together. So it's an interesting one. There's a lot more... Yeah, there's going to be a lot more people going in groups, I think, in the next draft, which should make things a little bit quicker for us as well. But it's going to mean there's stuff for people to do. So, yeah, like I say, I think Goldust and Dusty Rhodes apart, you struggle to see things for them to do, don't you, really? But together, I think it works quite well. I think it does work quite well. And Booker T, of course, the former television champion here on Mayhem, was drafted to Mayhem in Season 1 and in Season 2 as well. PJ Toby showing some faith in Booker T. There has been talks about 2K18 between myself and Mr. Toby, involving a certain Stevie Ray and Harlem Heat, which would be a very interesting tag team for PJ to get, because I think he likes the retro aspect of this Mayhem roster. And I feel like that's the way it might end up on 2K18 as well. I think the retroness of Mayhem and Throwdown with a few of the younger but bigger superstars on, and then the likes of Octane and Adrenaline are going to be your more high-flying, your more high-paced rosters, I think. Probably what they are now, really, because you've got the Cruiserweight Championships there. But you've also got guys, of course, on Adrenaline like Okada, AJ Styles, and, of course, on Ibushi. On Octane, you've got Ibushi, you've got Daniel Bryan. You've got some of the more high-flying, more interesting current-day superstars, should we say. As the bell goes, and straightaway Goldust with a slap on his former tag team partner, of course. Don't forget these two guys were a tag team back in the mid-noughties? Early noughties? Was it Bookdust? Probably was Bookdust. It sounds like something terrible that we put together. But Goldust, I'd say Goldust in control of this match early on, but Booker T reversing that into a crossbody, now a dropkick to the back of the head of Goldust. So yeah, Booker T did hold gold in this universe mode. He held it in Season 1. He was the first ever television champion, winning a 6-man ladder match on Mayhem. And of course he needs to try and get himself back involved in some sort of championship picture. And a victory here against Goldust, although it might not be the most thrilling of win for him, it of course will get him the ranking points to move him higher up the rankings. And of course PJ Toby is looking at the ranking points. That is why Lex Luger is involved in our television championship #1 contendership match here this evening. That was a lot of words about a breath. Of course Lex Luger, possibly the most informed guy in SWE at the moment. Big clothesline there by Goldust on Booker T. Stamping on the arm now as well. And a kick right in the back. Slamming the arm of Booker T into the mat. Goldust bringing Booker back up to seat, but Booker fighting back with the uppercut. And Goldust catches him there with the clothesline. Booker sending Goldust over the top, and it's going to bring him back the hard way with a suplex. There's a pin by Booker T. 1, 2. See Dusty Rhodes there looking with intent. He's desperate for his son to pick up the victory here. He's first. I think Goldust might have had singles matches already on Mayhem, but they may have been dark. Yeah, he was actually in a dark match a couple of weeks back. A triple threat match against Albert and Austin. Of course, Austin picked up the victory. Austin needed the win, I think. He needs to get his ranking points up as well. Big knee straight to the face now by Booker T on Goldust. And Goldust reaching for his head. Is he busted open here? Big flapjack. Spinebuster. Yes, Goldust is busted open. Now Booker just slamming on the back of the knee of Goldust. And that's a... Is that a King Booker taunt there? I'm not sure, to be honest. But Booker T now lining up Goldust for the bookend, and he hits it right dead center of the ring. There's the pin. 1, 2, and 3. And Booker T picks up the victory here against Goldust. No surprises there, really. That's sort of what we expected to happen. Booker T, like I said, desperate to get some more ranking points. Remember that your ranking points will go forward into 2K18 and Season 3 of SWE as well. So it's important to pick up as many victories as possible. You don't want to just sit there and go, well, I've not done too well in Season 2. I'm just gonna let it come to an end and then I'll start trying again Season. It doesn't work like that. You've got to pick up as many ranking points as possible. And who knows? These people could be getting themselves championship matches at the first pay-per-view in 2K18. It's a bookend there by Booker T. It was quite a big move, that was. And it was enough for the freak out. And Goldust, 2 losses in the space of 3 weeks here on Mayhem. It's not been the best of times for him, but then again, he's faced off against Booker T. He's also faced off against Austin. It wasn't always going to be the easiest way for him. But it does mean we get to see a Spinneroonie here live on Mayhem. 5 time, 5 time, 5 time, 5 time, 5 time. Good old Booker. Will he get another championship opportunity? And here is our next match of the evening. A bit more singles competition. Andrew Everett takes on Jeff Hardy. And here we go then. Now this should be a very interesting one, this one. Of course, we've got one half of Dynasty, Andrew Everett, accompanied by his tag team partner Trevor Lee, taking on one half of the Mayhem Tag Team Champions, the Broken Hardys. Of course, Jeff Hardy being accompanied to the ring by his tag team partner, Matt Hardy. So it's yeah, like I said, it's a pretty interesting one. There is some... See, I'll have to try and figure out how this works, because we've said that if a tag team defeats the tag team champions, they get 50 ranking points straight off the bat. So the equivalent to winning 5 matches, which is good. So if it's a singles match, maybe that'd be half. Maybe half, yeah, I'd say 25 points. So there's 25 points up for grabs here for Andrew Everett, should he pick up the victory. However, for the Broken Hardys, there is 5 ranking points up for grabs. So not as good for them, but of course they are the champions. They are the team that everyone's trying to catch up to. We already know that it's going to be the club versus the Broken Hardys at Cruel Intentions for the Tag Team Championships. So it'd be interesting to see if Dynasty do win here, whether that would put them very, very close, if not guaranteed already, a championship match at Shabby Mania. It's possible. It is possible. So the bell goes and we are underway. Andrew Everett versus Brother Nero. It's actually Jeff Hardy, isn't it? I'd be interested to see as well if these two guys have made it onto 2K18. I'm pretty sure they must have rushed this through because they're such a big team to have and they're the tag team champions. You would have thought that 2K would have gone all out to do it, or have 2K been a little bit cheeky and decided they want to try and steal a little bit of extra DLC money out of us, which wouldn't surprise me. They seem like that sort of company, I'm not going to lie to you. They seem like yeah, the sort of people that do really want to just basically screw us everyone. I don't know, they seem like one of these industries that, and it's the same way all the time. Like I got the NXT edition of the game last year, which had Apollo Crews, Nia Jax, and Shinsuke Nakamura available on day one. If those three people were available on day one, why were they not part of the game? And it's just the way that gaming has gone over the last few years. It's all about extra money now. It's all about trying to milk people out of more and more and more and more and more. And it does frustrate me, don't get me wrong. And I feel like that's the sort of thing we might get with the Hardys. We know already that buying the deluxe edition of the game, which is what I'm going to do, gets you Rob Van Dam and Batista on day one, as well as, of course, Kurt Angle, the pre-ordered DLC. So that's pretty good. I'm happy with that. It's not amazing, but I'm going to do it anyway. Then the rest of the DLC, we're probably going to have a Hall of Fame showcase. We'll probably end up with another NXT DLC. And it'd be interesting to see what the other DLC is, because there's normally free DLC, isn't there? I'm hoping it's not going to be the UK. Don't get me wrong, I'd be happy if it was the UK, because it means they're on the game, but I'd also be disappointed if it's the UK, because they should be on the base game. Of course, Pete Dunne now is the United Kingdom champion, and if you go on the WWE website, Pete Dunne's picture with that belt is on the front page of their website as a champion. So they can't make him DLC. They can't make the whole UK show whole thing a DLC. That would be stupid. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. Like I said, this Sunday at SummerSlam, we might find out some more details. We're less than 2 months away from the game being released now, so surely they've got to give us something. They've got to give us some sort of detail, surely. Stop calling me Shirley. That was a terrible joke. I apologise profusely. Right, so Everett now just wrenching back at the neck of Jeff Hardy, middle of the ring, but Jeff breaking free. It's a pretty big singles match here for ooh, that steel chair brought into the ring by Trevor Lee. Trevor Lee distracted the referee, and that allowed Brother Nero the opportunity to use the chair on Andrew Everett, and all of a sudden, this match has been turned on its head. Trevor Lee not happy on the outside, but in fairness, if Trevor Lee had not thrown the chair into the ring, then Jeff Hardy would not have had a chance to use it. There's the whisper in the wind. Again, Trevor Lee up on the apron, but he's trying to get the attention of Brother Nero, but the only person who's got the attention of is the referee, and I don't know how long it's been before the referee throws Trevor Lee out here. And again, Trevor Lee now is distracting Jeff Hardy once again. Trevor Lee trying to get some answers why Jeff Hardy used that steel chair, and I suppose Jeff's trying to say, look, you were the one who threw it in the ring. Don't blame me. Andrew Everett now over the top, sunset flip powerbomb to the outside. Jeff now with the arm breaker on Andrew Everett and straight into the ring steps as well, and this is danger now of being a double count out where they are. Oh no, that's okay. Nice one, Andrew Everett. I always hate when they get into one of those corners, it just happens so often. We get the double count out. Oh, Everett now throwing Jeff Hardy into the barricade, and Everett seemed to have a moment there where he was sort of regretting what he was doing, but Jeff Hardy didn't give him a lot of time to really reflect on that, really, did he? Nice spinning sunset flip bomb. And again, Trevor Lee just getting the attention of Jeff Hardy. And the referee's got to do something here with Trevor Lee because Trevor has been far too involved in this match. But it's not phasing Jeff Hardy at all. Big right hand. Now taking Everett up. Oh, into an alley-oop style powerbomb. But look where Everett landed neck first across the bottom rope now. Jeff heading up top. There's the senton bomb into the pin. 1, 2, and 3. And Jeff Hardy does pick up the singles victory here against Andrew Everett. But it was a pretty good match, really. Trevor Lee tried his hardest to intervene on many occasions, but was one of the big turning points in this match, the use of the steel chair there by Jeff Hardy. It's a little bit of an iffy one. It was a bit of a strange one. It makes you wonder whether without that steel chair shot, Andrew Everett might have been able to do a little bit better in this one. But it was a very up and down match, wasn't it, really? It was Jeff with a senton bomb. You see the disappointment in Trevor Lee's face, and Trevor Lee unable this time to stop the match from finishing off. And Jeff Hardy is victorious here. Building a little bit more momentum for their match against the club at Cruel Intentions for the Mayhem Tag Team Championships. That's going to be a pretty big match, that one now. Both teams looking in great form. Which one is going to falter, though? And here we go then. Time for a debut here. First off, it is going to be Dusty Rhodes. Of course, we saw him earlier on as Goldust manager for a match. And it looks like we're going to see him here in singles competition with Goldust now as his manager. Goldust wasn't successful earlier on. He lost to Booker T. But now Dusty has a chance to face off against our new debuting wrestler, who I don't know if we've announced him or yet not. I don't think we've announced him yet. And I'm hoping it's going to be somebody, again, who should be on 2K18. It's somebody who we did have a few years ago. I'm pretty sure. Was he on the game? I think he was on the game a few years ago. And we've not seen him since. I might be wrong, actually. I might be wrong. But he's somebody who should be on the game. He is a legend in the wrestling. A legend in the WWE, the WF, whatever you want to call it. And he's somebody who, PJ Tovey, was a little bit annoyed with himself. And I was a little bit annoyed with myself as well for not thinking of this guy to be in the original draft. And that man is, of course, the host of Piper's Pit. It is Roddy Piper making his debut here in SWE. Going to be taking on Dusty Rhodes. I thought his name there for a second, Dusty Rhodes. And this should be a good match, actually. Two retro superstars, both met each other many a times in WWF, I should suppose. And probably even in WCW, maybe. I don't know. I'm making assumptions because they were both there for a while. But this is their first meeting here in SWE. Roddy Piper's debut in SWE as well, like I said. I'm looking forward to this. So here we go then. Dusty Rhodes versus Roddy Piper. The bell goes and we are underway. Straightway Piper into a neckbreaker. And of course Piper just one of the debuting stars here this season. We still have one more for you. And if you watched our new intro before this show, you probably would have seen who it's going to be. Well, you might have noticed. You might not have noticed. It was pretty blatant that there was a new person on the intro. However, it might not have been obvious to you guys. Obviously, it's obvious to me because I know the rosters pretty well. I spend a lot of time playing around with the rosters. But to you guys, who don't probably know the wrestlers as well, you can always check out, of course, the links in the description below to the blogger pages. They'll show you who's on each roster at each time with all the ranking points on there as well. And also championship histories and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, brand new guy. If you've seen last week's Throwdown, you might have another hint who it's going to be. I did announce there was been a big trade. Piper now with the Russian leg sweep there on Dusty Rhodes, and Dusty's going to hope to get a victory here. Of course, Goldust lost earlier on to Booker T, and Dusty does not want to make it 2 out of 2 losses here this evening. But again, Roddy Piper, not an easy opponent whatsoever. There's the pin by Piper, only a 1 count. Don't think he expected to get the victory that early on, to be honest for you. Piper now raking at the eyes of Dusty, who catches Piper right in the gut. Now Dusty with a chop as well. Dusty now just wrenching back at the arms of Piper. Or really wrenching back and stretching that chest out, and of course the shoulders as well, while forcing the knee right to the centre of the spine. A very painful manoeuvre, but not one you expect to get the submission from. Elbow in the gut by Piper. Now a big knee strike right to the face. You saw the... Oh my god, the speed and movement of which Piper flew there. That was pretty insane. Piper now dropping a boot right in the gut of Dusty. And a kick in the spine of Dusty as well. And another kick in the spine of Dusty by Piper, who's now lining Dusty up. And Piper locking in that sleeper hold. Is it going to be enough to make Dusty Rhodes tap out or even conk out? We'll find out. No, Dusty seems to be still fighting. His arm's still swinging. And he's able to reverse it into a jawbreaker. Piper sending Dusty into the corner. Hoists him up onto the top. But Dusty fighting back with a boot in the face. And Dusty from high with the elbow. Piper now running bulldog, dropping Dusty flat on his face. There's the pin. 1, 2. Only a 2 count. Dusty fighting his way back up to his feet. A big right hand in the gut now. Taking Piper up into an atomic drop. Now a big match here for Piper. Like I said, debut. So he's going to want to do well here this evening. But like I said, Dusty is not at the best of form so far here on Mayhem. Not had many TV matches, if any. So I think he's definitely going to want to pick up the victory. It might not be that easy, eh? Piper now just wrenching at the neck of Dusty Rhodes. Really wrenching on it. I think Dusty's struggling here. Piper has dominated about 90% of this match. But has he got enough to finish Dusty off? That's the main thing. Big kick in the spine. Piper brings Dusty back up to his feet, and there's a few big lefts followed up by a big right, knocking Dusty down. There's the pin. 1, 2. Look at Goldust just staring at the referee's backside. And it's only enough for a 2 count. It was very, very close to a 3, though. Very, very close to a 3. Piper once again back up to his feet and locking in that sleeper hold on Dusty Rhodes. Is it going to be enough this time for Dusty to tap out? No, Dusty's gone. Dusty is out. Piper drops him to the ground, and Roddy Piper victorious on his debut here. Not just in Mayhem, but of course in SWE as well. But I feel like this man will be a staple now moving forward into Season 3. And hopefully he's one of the legends that they might bring back onto... Let me know in the comment section, was he on a previous game? I seem to think he was, but I might be completely wrong. I might be wrong on that one. Maybe was he on the WrestleMania Showcase one? I don't know. I really can't remember. He should be. I remember one year he was a really easily made core because all of his body parts were on the game, weren't they? As like the easy version of making a core. Like his face was there, his torso was there, his bottom half was there. You just had to put all three together. So it more or less was like having Piper on the game, but he used up a core spot. So I don't know. Let me know in the comment section if you can remember yourself. Was he on a previous game or not? And if they're going to have an extra 60 people on 2K18, surely Piper's got to be one of them. I would say everybody in the Hall of Fame should be on 2K18. Granted, that involves Hogan. That also involves Abdullah the Butcher, who's had a questionable past. But it'd be cool. It would be good to have him on there. Good win here then for Piper. And now it's time then for our main event of the evening. We have got 3 men fighting it out to become the #1 contender for Seth Rollins' Television Championship. Of course, the first man here, Sting. PJW really wants to push this Television Championship up to the next level. That's what he said he wants to do, and you can't blame him for that. It really wants to be a top-level championship. And, of course, with the previous champions we've had here in Season 1... What the fuck was that? It was season 1, of course. We had Booker T, wasn't the best of champions, was he? We had Finn Balor. We had Daniel Bryan. And then we've had, of course, Finn Balor again. Then Finn Balor lost it in Season 2 to, of course, Seth Rollins at the last pay-per-view. So Seth, a big champion to have on this brand. But one of these 3 men in this match are desperate to take that belt away from him. And like I said, we know 2 of them. We know Sting. Well, I know all 3, of course, because I made the card. But we know Sting. We know Lex Luger, who's probably the most informed man in all of SWE at the moment, Lex Luger. And the 3rd man is going to be debuting here this evening. And like I said, PJW wants to push this Television Championship up to the... Might explain why he's picked such strong people in this match. Here comes Lex. I wonder whether Lex, you know, could be an interesting addition to American Alpha. I know that sounds a bit crazy, but he is an All-American, that sort of stuff, isn't he? So, you know what? It's possible. It could be a good shout for Season 3. I'd have to have a little chin wag with PJ Toby about that one. I am coming up with lots... I'm coming up with lots and lots of ideas. Sorry, I started talking then. I went right away from the microphone to pick up my pad. Got to write notes. Got to write notes in this sort of stuff, you know. Right, notes. Luger, potential alpha. Yeah, let me know what you think about that as well. Luger's a potential alpha member. I know it seems a bit crazy. We just, myself and PJ Toby are struggling a little bit to find something for Luger to do. And I feel like that could be something for him. And there's stuff that there's stuff that I'm gonna do next time that I know PJ Toby doesn't want to do. Yep, you guessed it. The 3rd man in this match is Goldberg. Yep, Goldberg joining the Mayhem roster as a trade from Throwdown for Shawn Michaels. And now he's here in his debut match as well. He has done the best of times over on Throwdown, I must admit. But now he's here to try and secure himself a place at Cruel Intentions for the Television Championship against Seth Rollins. I'm pretty sure Sting will be desperate for that match against Seth, considering that the last match against Seth he had in real life was his last match in wrestling. Good old Goldberg. I used to be a massive fan of Goldberg, but I think his return has put me off him a bit. If I can get back to this point of Goldberg, the hype train Goldberg, that's the sort of Goldberg I want to be involved in. Not the recent Goldberg of... See, that's the problem when you have these big returns. people can end up destroying their legacy. And people like Jericho have not done that. People like Jericho have done, what they have done is expanded their legacy. However, Goldberg, for me, this last run he had just didn't do any goodness for him. They're wrong. I think he got over really well with the youngsters, but with the fans that knew Goldberg as Goldberg in WCW and so forth, it just, for me, it ruined Goldberg a bit. Because although he probably hasn't changed a lot in the ring, he was very limited in his time in the ring in WCW when he was on his hype train and stuff like that. Although he hasn't changed too much, at the same time, he sort of just doesn't seem to work as much for me now. But the bell goes, we are underway, and Luger, clever there, drops out the ring. Grabbing a steel chair. Remember, this is no disqualifications, no count out, of course, triple threat match rules, that's how it works. Sting now, super bulldog from the top rope. I thought he might have tried to drop Luger there on the chair, but he didn't get him. Shoulder breaker there by Sting on Goldberg. I'm still writing notes. There we go. I've got some things to discuss with PJTV later now. I'm going to have to start setting up the draft soon, I think. Even though I'm 2 months away, I like to be prepared. Although I feel like I should probably set up the rest of our shows yet till the end of. No, I might be wrong. I might be wrong. No, I think Adrenaline has their pay-per-view. I said about Mayhem being the last. No, Adrenaline's going to have their pay-per-view as well before we get set up. So this is the last Mayhem pay-per-view. Well, not. We've got one more Mayhem pay-per-view after Cruel Intentions. Throwdown and Octane both only have Shabby Mania left, which means that Adrenaline have about 3 weeks difference, so they're going to have 1 week less between their next pay-per-view and Shabby Mania as well. So it's going to be pretty cool. We're going to end it a week early, and there's going to be some little bits and bobs we do in that final week leading up to 2K18 that just sort of gives us a bit more freedom to plan. There is a potential draft in place with myself and PJTV. Should we be able to organise it? I'm not promising anything at the moment because of unfortunately there could be some things that do get in the way. You never know. Goldberg, Saito suplex, folding Sting in half. And a big kick in the spine now by Goldberg on Sting. Sting now just slamming Goldberg. But Lex is back up on his feet. And if Lex can win this, I say Lex has been in outstanding form so far. Oh. Goldberg breaking up the pin. And Sting with that big DDT on Goldberg. And Sting now another DDT on Lex Luger. Wow. Sting bringing Luger back up to his feet now, looking for a tombstone pile driver. Hits the tombstone pile driver on Luger. Is that going to be enough though to confirm in place? To confirm his place at Cruel Intentions for the Television Championship. He's not even going to go for the pin. I think he saw Goldberg get back up to his feet on the outside and decided that going for the pin was probably a little bit useless. Sidewalk slam there by Sting on Goldberg. I think Goldberg's legs and ankle caught that steel chair. Don't know how much damage that's going to do, if anything, though, to be honest. Oh, Sting's up on the top rope taunting. That was the good idea as Luger brings him down with a German suplex. And Sting is going to regret doing that, I think, isn't he? Luger now taking Goldberg up onto the top. Luger superplex on Goldberg. Luger now catching Sting with that belly to back slam. Now Luger heading up top. Luger willing Sting back up to his feet. Into a double axe handle on Sting. And now Luger taunting. Maybe Luger shouldn't be doing this, considering he was the one who caught Sting out, but Luger did see Goldberg come back into the ring and does drop down before Goldberg gets a chance to take advantage of Luger's vulnerability there. Luger now locking Goldberg into a tree of woe. Be interesting if Luger just left Goldberg there and went after Sting, wouldn't it really? Oh! Sting trying to back away, but Luger caught him with that running clothesline. Now Luger following Sting to the outside. Both guys... Oh, Sting decided to go the slow way. Luger got in before him and catches him with the suplex. Goldberg with the elbow straight across the shoulders. Now gets on the back of Luger into a German suplex. Now, like I said, Goldberg did it the best of times on Throwdown, but you never know. A big victory here, and all of a sudden, he could be looking a lot better. Of course, this is a triple threat match. It is a main event of a show, so it is worth 20 ranking points to the winner. And Goldberg is stalking Luger here. If he can hit a jackhammer. Sting is slowly stirring on the outside. And there is the jackhammer by Goldberg on Luger. But Sting is back in the ring and Goldberg not able to take advantage of it. Oh, but Sting with a Scorpion Death Drop on Goldberg. Luger's already down. 1, 2. Luger trying to get it to break it up, but Luger did not get there. But Goldberg kicked out the Scorpion Death Drop. Wow. Now, I feel like Luger might have an advantage here with a submission because people could tap out straight away. And Luger, again, just up on the apron taunting while... Yeah, Luger, you deserve that, man. You caught Sting with it earlier, and now you got caught by your own vanity there. Up on the turnbuckle taunting. Stiff DDT there by Sting. Into the pin. Goldberg's down the outside. 1, 2... Oh, and again, it's so close to a 3 count. Like I said, Sting desperate for this match here against Seth Rollins at the pay-per-view. Not just for the championship, but for a little bit of retribution for the injury that was caused in his last professional wrestling match in WWE. Sting again with a pin. Only a 2 count. Goldberg back in the ring now. And Goldberg just stamped on the head of the referee. Not quite sure why Goldberg did that, but... Now Goldberg going for the pin on Luger. Referee's not going to hold it against him. He's going to count it. Only a 2 count. Goldberg now just twisting the head of Luger. As Luger trying to fight back. Pin by Goldberg. 1, 2, and Sting's there to break it up. Sting now stiff forearm, getting in the back of Goldberg once again. Scorpion Death Drop. Luger's down. Goldberg's down. 1, 2, and 3. And Sting is going on to Cruel Intentions to face off against Seth Rollins for the television championship. And there's going to be a lot on that match. Like I said, not just the television championship, but also some retribution for Sting. It's not Seth Rollins' fault that Sting picked up the injury, but he can't help but feel annoyed that his last ever match was in the ring with Seth Rollins. There's got to be something there. There's got to be some aggression. There's got to be some pent-up aggression that Sting will want to take out on Seth Rollins, and Seth could be in trouble, and his championship reign could also be in trouble. Sting, fantastic form here this evening, and finally somebody's been able to beat Lex Luger. Luger was not the man pinned, though, to be honest. Luger was not the man pinned, but still... Ooh. Goldberg there just able to completely glitch out Sting's legs. So Sting is going on to Cruel Intentions to face it off against Seth Rollins. We know we've got some great matches now at Cruel Intentions. We have got Brock Lesnar versus Matanza Cueto for the Mayhem Championship. Seth Rollins versus Sting for the Television Championship. Hulk Hogan versus Stone Cold Steve Austin versus John Cena in a triple threat match across the ages. Marufuji takes on Finn Balor one-on-one. We've got the Club versus the Hardys for the Tag Team Championships. Sasha Banks versus Asuka for the Women's Championship. And we have got a fantastic tag team match for you. Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit team up to take on the team of Chris Jericho and Rey Mysterio Jr. What a card that is, ladies and gentlemen. We will see you in a few days' time for that pay-per-view. But before then, we've still got another week's worth of shows. I've been Shabby Gamer. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
One, two, three.